Hello, beautiful people of the internet. How are you doing today? My name is Jackie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the Game of Thrones Season 8 trailer. Now, I'm sorry I couldn't do this last week when the trailer came out. I was at college, and when I'm in school, I can only film videos on the weekends because during the week I don't have the time or the privacy. So I'm sorry that this is coming out a little later. I understand if you've already seen a bunch of trailer breakdowns and you don't want to watch this one, though I hope you do. And I will say I have not watched anyone else's trailer breakdown videos. I have seen things on Twitter and Tumblr after this trailer dropped, because you know that I watched it the second I saw it on my Twitter feed. So I will reference things that I saw on other platforms. However, I haven't watched anyone else's YouTube videos on this trailer yet. I will, as soon as I finish filming this. I'm gonna go watch all of them. First, I was thinking I would just watch the trailer through again, just the original version that HBO posted. And then I know somebody went through and lightened the trailer, so I'm gonna go look at those screen caps and see if I can pick anything up I didn't notice the first time now that it's brightened, and let you guys know what I think is going on in each scene. Brightness all the way up. Oh, no,
I know Death.
That's better.
He's got many faces. I look forward to seeing this one.
Everything you did brought you where you are now. Where you belong.
They're coming. Our enemy doesn't tire, doesn't stop, doesn't feel. I promise to fight for the living. I intend to keep that promise.
I'm so excited. Such a good trailer. Oh, I didn't realize this was just another video. I thought it was like screenshots. That's fine though. Okay, so we'll just go through this and I will just hit pause quite a lot. I think that's what we're gonna do. Okay. So, start off. Arya, face covered in dirt and blood. And she is running from something which terrifies her.
I know Death.
There's Davos, probably before the battle.
He's got...
Okay, so in this shot, we've got Varys and a bunch of other women and children. I think this looks like Gilly and Little Sam right there. And they are all sitting in the crypts of Winterfell. So I think that during the Battle of Winterfell in episode 3, the people who cannot fight are going to be left in the crypts for their own safety. And this is kind of interesting to me that Varys is still here during this battle, because I do think that Varys is going to die a traitor's death at some point. It will just be interesting to see at what point in the season that actually happens, because he's clearly still alive by episode 3. So that's interesting. Arya running, she's in the castle.
I look forward to seeing this one.
Okay, that shot, we're gonna come back to that shot because I have a theory about who she's talking to in that scene. Okay, moving on. April 14th. Okay. This guy, definitely not Euron, though these are Euron's ships. But this guy is way too blonde to be Euron. So, who is he? all these men, has to be the Golden Company. And we know that the show cast Harry Strickland, the leader of the Golden Company. So that is who I think this is. Right here. He's way too blonde to be Euron.
Everything you did brought you where you are now.
So, confirmed that Tormund and Beric do not die at Eastwatch, which I think all of us were suspecting that. The person they're with here is Dolorous Edd, who was rumored to be making a reappearance in season 8. The question is, where are they exactly in this scene? I think that after the wall comes down at Eastwatch, we saw Tormund and Beric fleeing, so I think they are probably going to go to Castle Black, and that is where they're going to meet up with Dolorous Edd, who then may come with them back to Winterfell to see Jon.
Now.
This scene with Bran and Sam, I think this is the scene where they're going to tell Jon about Jon's parentage, and I think that this I just suddenly lost the word. It just, you know, we're about to say something and then the word just like flies out of your head and you're like, what was I gonna say? That's what I did just now. I think what Bran is saying here in narration is something that he's gonna say to Jon in this scene where they tell him about his parentage. And I don't know, Sam's expression here looks kind of concerned, worried. I think this is him watching as Jon comes into the room and he knows he's gonna have to tell Jon something that he really doesn't want to have to tell Jon, and I think that's his expression. Did I also mention at the beginning of this video that I took notes on every scene in this trailer with my thoughts and then I forgot them back at college, so now I'm just freeballing it? Because I am. I really hope that I don't forget something important that I really wanted to say, because I lost my notes, so now I'm just making this up as I go along. Sorry about that. King's Landing, where it is not snowing, oddly enough. Okay, this is in Wintertown. I think Watchers on the Wall ran a story saying that they heard spoilers that the first scene of the season will take place in Wintertown, outside of Winterfell. You can see Winterfell is up there in the background. So I think this will be part of the first scene of the final season. And I think this kid here watching the Unsullied come in is meant to parallel Bran in the pilot episode when he was watching Robert's retinue arrive at Winterfell. So I think that's going to be a callback to the first season. Jon and Daenerys riding next to each other, united front. Sansa sees the dragons for the first time, probably also from episode 1. They fly over Winterfell.
Our enemy doesn't.
This scene, I think, is from right after Jon finds out about his parentage. You can see him brooding, as he always does, and then Daenerys is going to come meet him in the crypts, where he's probably staring at his mother's statue, and he knows Lyanna is his mother, and I think Daenerys is going to comfort him. I don't know if when she comes to him in this scene, she knows or not. I don't know if she knows when she comes to him, or if Jon's going to tell her in this scene in the crypts. I don't know, I feel like she already knows at this point, and she's coming to tell him that doesn't matter to her. Just, I don't know, the look on her face, it seems like she already knows. And I don't know, I mean, maybe it's possible she's just coming because she's concerned about Jon and she doesn't know what's wrong, but I honestly don't know like how much Jon being her nephew is really going to matter to her, because as bad as it sounds, I think in Westeros, their relation is not going to prevent them from being together. There are instances of uncle-niece marriage in Westerosi history, and the Targaryens intermarried so much. I don't think Daenerys will care. The only thing that I could possibly see being a problem for her is that this means Jon has a better claim to the throne than she does. But I do believe that she genuinely loves Jon, so I don't think she's going to abandon him just because he's a secret Targaryen. Okay, Boy Gendry's back, and we see in this scene they're making the dragon glass into weapons. Now, I said I wanted to revisit that Arya clip from the beginning of the trailer. Now I have to scroll back to find it. Hold on a second. So the person that Arya is talking to in this scene It's kind of blurry here. I saw a nicer version of this on Tumblr where it was a little less pixelated. She's talking to someone who looks male and who is taller than her, but only slightly, not like someone who's going to be over 6 foot in my opinion. And it's also a man who is clean shaven. So I think it's possible that John is someone she would say something like this to, but that's clearly not John because John is not clean shaven. So I think the person she's talking to in this scene is Gendry. I actually originally thought this before I even saw this cat because in the scene where we see Gendry in the forge, there are pillars very similar to this one that's behind Arya in this clip. That's probably not a very strong piece of evidence because I bet if I looked, there's lots of places in Winterfell that have those exposed pillars. But that was my original reason for thinking so, and then seeing this man's smooth cheek only further confirmed that theory for me. And I actually think I would really like this because I really want Arya to have good reunions with Jon, with the Hound, and with Gendry. I think all of those characters really had an impact on her, and I really enjoyed her relationships with all three of them. So I want her seeing all of them again to have the emotional resonance that it really deserves, and I think that would be really hard to accomplish if she reunites with all three of them in one scene. So if we get to see Arya seek Gendry out independently in the Forge, I think that could be a really good scene. The way she's talking here about how she's looking forward to seeing this face, some people have interpreted it as kind of a cold way of talking, but I also think she could just be trying to seem tough or confident when she's speaking to Gendry, if that's really who she's speaking to. I definitely think he's the most likely person because, like I said, this can't be Jon, and it's definitely not the Hound. He's too tall. And Gendry is the other male character who fits this description, who I think she could possibly be having this conversation with. Okay, now we're resuming where we left off. Jorah riding into battle, I think. There are men that look like Dothraki behind him, and there was a tweet I saw on Twitter. I'll try to find it again and post a screen grab here in this video, that this sword looks a lot like Heartsbane, the sword of House Tarly, which Sam stole from his dad in season 6. And I have said before that I thought it would make sense for Sam to give this Valyrian steel sword to Jorah, because Jorah has more skill as a warrior than Sam. He could better wield this sword. And also Sam and Jorah do know each other. Sam saved Jorah's life. So I think it would make sense for Sam to give Jorah this sword, and I think we'll see Jorah wield Heartsbane in battle in season 8.
Doesn't feel.
Okay, so we see Missandei and Grey Worm kiss. I think that is him saying goodbye to her before he goes into battle. And I honestly really think that Grey Worm is going to die in season 8. I don't want him to, but I think the show has really been building up this romance between him and Missandei, which is not in the books because they want us to get emotionally attached so they can devastate us when Grey Worm dies. I'm not happy about Grey Worm dying. I really like him and Missandei together as a couple, but I really think that D&D are setting us up for the greatest amount of emotional turmoil possible. Now, those two clips there of the person lopping off a head and then Jaime screaming something, I originally thought that the person wielding the sword was Jaime because of how it immediately cut to Jaime afterward. However, upon further reflection, if this was really Jaime, the person is using the wrong hand, because Jaime lost his right hand, he has a golden hand, and now he fights with his left. However, this person wielding the sword is fighting with their right hand. So upon further reflection, I think the most likely person that is Brienne of Tarth. Matches her body, her build, the hair sort of looks like her. We know she's a great fighter. She fights with her right hand, and I think it would make sense for her and Jaime to be fighting next to each other in this battle due to their history. So I think that this is a clip of the two of them during the battle. I don't know what it is that Jaime is yelling. Some people say it looks like he's yelling Brienne. Some people say it looks like he's yelling Bronn. Some people say it looks like he's yelling run. I don't think you can really tell from this. I can't give a strong guess either way. It could be any of those things. You don't really know. Before I even hit play on this, I will tell you that this scene right here in the throne room, the person on the throne is clearly Cersei. That's the Mountain standing next to her. That's Qyburn. These are just, I don't know, Kingsguard members. And then you have these two people. On Tumblr, this theory started that Cersei is going to kidnap Sansa. However, I don't think either of these people are Sansa. I think this is Harry Strickland, the leader of the Golden Company, the same man that I think we're seeing on that scene on the boat earlier. And this person right here wearing the long black garment that at first I thought it was a dress, but I actually think it's just a long cape or cloak or jacket thing. I think that's Euron Greyjoy. I think he has escorted the Golden Company back to Westeros in this scene, and he is now presenting Harry Strickland to Cersei. This could be from the first episode of the season. This scene, we have Cersei drinking wine, and she looks like she's been crying. You can see it in her eyes. So the thing that's significant here to me is that she's drinking wine. Now, in season 7, we saw that since Cersei found out she was pregnant, she has not been drinking wine. I think that's a little stupid because I don't know how the maesters in Westeros would know what fetal alcohol syndrome is, but she gave up wine when she was pregnant, so the fact that she is drinking and crying indicates to me that by this scene, she has miscarried her pregnancy. Dragons flying. Arya watching dragons.
Fight for the living.
Grey Worm in battle. Here's Jon standing in front of the werewood. That's his cloak, his hair color. The Hound. That's kind of interesting. We can see flame in the background. I don't know if we can necessarily pinpoint where the Hound is in that scene. He could be at Winterfell, or he could also be fighting his brother in Clegane. I think it is kind of significant, though, that we see that fire behind him. And I do think that when the Hound fights his brother in Clegane, he's going to have to overcome his fear of fire in some way. I think that would be a great moment for his character. Now, in this scene that I just paused it on, Jaime is saying, I promise to help fight the dead. I'm going to honor that pledge, yada, yada, yada. I think this looks like Winterfell. This is probably him talking to Jon and Daenerys when he initially arrives without Cersei's army, telling them, listen, I'm here to honor my pledge. I know Cersei betrayed you, but I really am here to help, trying to convince them that he is on their side. And I will also say that I think Brienne's probably going to speak up for Jaime in this instant if Jon and Daenerys are initially skeptical. And I do think that it'll be interesting to see Jaime and Bran meet again, considering Jaime pushed Bran out a window and this was the reason why he's paralyzed. However, because Bran is now the Three-Eyed Raven, I don't think he will hold that against Jaime. I think Bran will really see that as something that had to happen for him to achieve his destiny. However, if Jon and Arya and Sansa find out that Jaime did this, I would imagine they are not going to be so easy to forgive, and they will hold that against him until he inevitably does something heroic which will redeem him in their eyes, or at least lessen their dislike for him.
And to keep that promise.
Ooh, that one is interesting. Okay, I gotta go back for a second. There. Because originally, I thought this was a hand grabbing a sword. But you see this right here? That's a bowstring. This ain't a sword. This is a bow and arrow. So the question is, who fights with a bow and arrow? Now, I mean, I can't tell you whose hand that is. I don't know what the hands of every cast member look like, and you really can't tell where exactly this is set, I don't think. There's things that are on fire. Maybe it's at Winterfell, but for some reason, my first thought when I realized this was a bow and arrow is that this is Theon, because I know that the bow and arrow was always Theon's weapon of choice, and he had amazing skill as an archer. He did save Bran's life from wildlings with his bow and arrow, so I think if Theon's going to fight, the bow and arrow would be his weapon of choice. I might be wrong, I don't have a lot to go on here, but that was my first instinct because I know that's his weapon. Jon running into battle. Okay, this is I think after Jon's parentage reveal, Jon's gonna ride Rhaegal. Daenerys is teaching him how to be a dragon rider. He's gonna bond with the dragon so that he can ride Rhaegal into battle. I don't know where exactly they are in this scene. They look pretty far away from civilization. I don't know if they went beyond the wall or where the wall used to be. I think this is probably the scenes that Kit and Emilia were spotted filming in Iceland. I know that we had photos of them filming there together. I don't know if anyone else was there with them from the main cast. So I think that's probably what they were filming when they were there. I think they were filming Daenerys teaching Jon how to fly a dragon and Jon bonding with Rhaegal, becoming Rhaegal's dragon rider. Sansa looking worried. Arya doing the spin. Trying to figure out what makes Daenerys look this way. She looks annoyed, tired, maybe sad. I don't really know. I don't know like exactly what emotion she's feeling. I'm wondering, is this her finding out that she's pregnant? Is this her finding out about Jon? Is this her having a fight with someone? I don't know exactly, because I feel like there's several different emotions that she could possibly be feeling in this scene. Tyrion looking worriedly up at something. I think they want you to think he's looking at a dragon, because considering how they have a clip of Drogon breathing fire right after that. But I think at this point it's really impossible to tell what Tyrion is looking at in this scene. There are several different things that could make him be concerned. So I think it's really impossible to tell at this point. I don't think it's necessarily him looking at a dragon. I think they might be trying to fake us out. Maybe he is looking at a dragon. I really don't know. I think there's not nearly enough in that clip to tell us what he's looking at. Here's the battle. Brienne and Podrick on the front lines. Jorah. And then there are the White Walkers coming. And I think that's the end of the trailer. Podrick's totally gonna die. I love him, but he's expendable, and I don't know if he can take care of himself on the front lines. I think he's toast, unfortunately. Oh, I just realized at the beginning, I totally skipped over talking about what it is that Arya is running from. I have to say there is this theory going around that the Night King is going to raise the dead Starks from the crypts, so perhaps she's being chased by a white version of Robb or Cat or Ned. However, I don't think that's likely at all, because first of all, we don't even have a confirmation that Robb and Cat's bones are in the crypts. And I can't imagine that they are, because I don't think the Freys sent them back to Winterfell after they murdered them. Also, Ned at this point should be just bones. He's been dead for too long to still have his entire fully formed body still intact. He would have decomposed. I think when Littlefinger returned his body to Cat, he was just bones by that point, and that was seasons ago. And we'd never got a confirmation that those bones did make it back to Winterfell. So I don't think any of them are chasing her. It's also possible that she may not even really be being chased. She may just be frantically running to someone. Maybe the battle seems like it's going to be lost. Maybe she needs to go find Sansa or Bran. She's worried about them, and so she's running to them, thinking that time is of the essence. And there's also the question of, why is she covered in blood? Whose blood is it? Do whites bleed? I actually had a debate about this in my fanfic comments, because I referred to them as having bled and apparently they don't. Obviously, I would say the Night King and other White Walkers don't, because they're White Walkers. And if you're a skeleton white, then you're not going to have blood. But if you're someone who just died and was resurrected by the Night King immediately after, do you still bleed if someone tries to kill you after you've been turned to a white? Like, what happened to your blood? Is it still there? I don't really know how these zombie things work. I watched like 2 episodes of The Walking Dead years ago because it's my friend's favorite show, and I didn't get into it, but I thought the zombies on that show bled. So that's kind of a question I have, is if you're a human resurrected as a white, would you still bleed if somebody stabbed you? That's a question that I have. And then there's also the possibility, well, what if Cersei sends the Golden Company to Winterfell? She does know that that's where everyone is going to be. So if she really wanted to, she could send the Golden Company up to Winterfell and try to attack them at the same time. That is a possibility. So I don't think that Arya is running from the whites of any of her deceased family members. Somebody said, what if someone like Gendry dies and starts working as a white, and that's who she's running from? I guess that's possible. I doubt it, but it is a possibility. I don't really know. Those are just my thoughts on the subject. So, I really hope that's everything I wanted to say with this video, because like I said, I wrote some detailed notes, left that notebook at college, so I'm hoping that's everything I wanted to say. I guess if I think of something else later, it'll go in the comments section. If you guys have anything you want to add onto this video, any other thoughts, if you agree, disagree, feel free to leave that in the comments. I would be really happy to know your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you would give it a like, and I would really love it if you subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I hope you are as hyped for the final season of Game of Thrones as I am, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!